Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution sketches out what Congress is going to look like, what the legislative branch of the national government is going to look like. The basic form of what a legislature was going to be was familiar to them. They had both the parliamentary experience in England, and Parliament was an old institution, had gone through its own evolution, but they were familiar at least with the design of that kind of legislature. They also had legislatures in the colonial system, which had been carried over into the states. In both Parliament and in those state legislatures, they were all bicameral for the most part, so that they had two different chambers. For them, that was a natural feature of representative assemblies and how to design them, in part because that kind of bicameral system could provide an internal check for the legislature itself. It also allowed you to complicate how you want to represent the people in a legislative assembly. So the basic design, and as well as the basic powers that they expect a legislature to be exercising, powers to tax, powers to spend, powers to pass legislation and regulate the populace, are all things that are familiar to them from the parliamentary experience, from the state legislative experience, that then they're trying to carry over into thinking about the design of Congress. At least the basic structure, the basic framework is more or less in place. The question then is exactly what kind of powers are you going to give to Congress, exactly how are you going to structure the representation of this that the Senate is going to represent and the House of Representatives is going to represent, and there are some choices have to be made. But the basic design, at least, of a bicameral legislature and the basic concept of what kind of legislative powers that's going to exercise is something that they can largely draw upon their own experience in English, colonial, and state legislative experience.